You know who I am, you know what I do, and you know who I do it for, and it's most certainly for you. I'm your host, Dr. Rectangle, and you're here for another episode of The Checkup, where you can get your pre-prescribed dosage of quality gaming information from me and yours truly, post-haste. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3. Unfortunately, right now, it's a game that's in the crosshairs due to the SJW, aka the Social Justice Warrior crowd, and they are saying that the game is misogynistic, it supports the patriarchy because it treats women just as objects, just to sit there and satisfy the sexual temptations and the sexual lust and the sensual needs of the male figure, aka the evil man across the globe. Now, there's two sides of this coin, and I'm going to address both sides because I feel as though both sides have some sort of quote-unquote reason to exist. So regardless, let's push forward and go on with that. Now, they say that the voluptuous form, the beads of water dripping from their hair, going past their breasticles, their chesticles, their tits, whatever you want to call them, dripping past the nipple and dripping onto their thighs, showing the nice form figures and the curves of the female form, all the way down to their succulent thighs, going down and 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 down, even going to their nether regions, etc., etc. They say that this is sexist, that this is wrong, this is a bad portrayal of women in video games, and this is the sexism that they're trying to fight against because it's oppressing women worldwide. Now, to those people who have that sentiment, have you ever been to a beach? Because if you've been to a beach, I don't see an abundance of people running around with burqas, ponchos, and towels and say, "Oh my God, you women are too naked, but you men with chiseled abs, keep doing what you're doing. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. But no, you're covering too much. You can't do this. Oh my God, girls having fun and hugging when they celebrate a volleyball spike. Oh no, I can't do this. Get the burqas, get the ponchos, get everything. Just cover them up." When there's a volleyball match, when they have them on ESPN and all the girls like, yeah, they're tackling each other, being all fun, they're rubbing each other, giving each other high fives because they had a good game of volleyball. Or, when they have female swim meets where they're swimming and, everyone's hugging on each other. I don't see ESPN coming up with a giant censor bar and saying, this is too much. You can't see this. This is sexism. We're not allowing this. No, because you see, although Dead or Alive is once again a fantasy universe, these things happen in reality. And these are things that can be depicted in the real world. These are things that happen. Now, everyone's not running around as an assassin that could take out two people by stabbing them with a glass of orange juice and then just annihilating them instantly. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is girls having fun on a beach is not a far-fetched concept that only the evil mind of men can fathom and create. Because you guys willingly, the female gender, willingly do that when you go to the beach to have fun. It just so happens that this is a game that, quote-unquote, men observe. And a lot of men that I know who go to the beach do go to gawk, flirt, and have conversation with women who may or may not be doing these aforementioned activities. So let's get into the roots of the problem at hand as it pertains to Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3. And let's address it. Because you see, it is a game that the developers have said will not come west. It will not be a game that you can go to your local Walmart, your local game shop, and just walk in and say, here's $60, give me this game because it's going to be restricted and region locked over to the eastern part of the hemisphere, Japan, region locked, not coming to America, Canada, EU, etc. Now, the reason why this is such a problem is because they have said that it's because of fears of the SJW crowd talking about their game. Now, as I said, even though I may not agree with what the SJWs, the Social Justice Warrior crowd, has to say about Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3, if they want to criticize the game that way, they have every right to do so. If they want to say that they don't like this game because of this reason, etc., so on and so forth, they have every right to do so. You cannot blame the SJWs for the game not coming here. Why do I say that? Because there was a game not too long ago that was under the scrutiny, in the crosshairs of everybody. Everybody wanted a shot at this game. Hell, some of the people who hate SJWs hated this game because they thought it gave SJWs ammo. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's a little game known as Hatred, in which you go on a complete killing spree, destroying everything. And even though Hotline Miami was a game that was out, but we're not going to talk about that. You just completely annihilate everyone. You got execution kills, you got murder, you can stab, you can rip people, you can shoot them on the ground, execution style. All the gratuitous rated M content that you could have at your disposal was in this game. But the developers and the people who were willing to stand by that game stood by that game. And it's one of the only few games that I can remember Unreal actually saying, don't put the fact that you used our engine in the game. But that's not the point. Point is, with everyone against them, they still stood by their product and they won, damn it, because it sold. People ate it up and people wanted to see more of it. Whether you'll get a Hatred sequel, I don't know, who's to say. But the fact is, they stood by their product and released it, and they showed everyone, hey, look, we released it, and nothing terrible happened to us. However, it would seem as though a certain developer, who I will not name, because they haven't given me a proper Dead or Alive sequel since Dead or Alive 3, the fighting game, not Extreme. Dead or Alive, the fighting game, Dead or Alive 3. Still my favorite fighting game in the 3D genre. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this segment of the development company, saying that the game won't come west because of these fears. They should not get a free pass for saying that. We, as gamers, should not just be going, that might be alright. Fresh Prince references aside, that we should not be doing that. And the reason why I say this is the simple fact that, as I said, there's been many games that have been under the crosshairs. Hell, the game sells well and better over here than it does over there. You are choosing to lose out on potential money because the big bad SJWs might say something. Even though they said something about Dead or Alive 4 and Dead or Alive 5 and Dead or Alive on Around and Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 1 and Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 2. Games that you've released and we've all been able to see and play our voluptuous women doing whatever scanty-clad mini-games that we may have at our disposal in that game. But now, all of a sudden, it bothers you and it is a problem that you cannot seem to circumvent. That's not alright. It's never been alright. And I just don't understand how people are going to give it a free pass. You can't blame SJWs for this one. They have every right to criticize that. However, while I think their criticisms are quite misguided and completely just founded on nonsense, personally, I have my right to that opinion. And if you would like to address and debate, and we could talk and negotiate and things of that nature, we could go back and forth and do whatever it is that we need to do to quote-unquote hash these details out, I'm all for it. But I know people aren't going to like this video. But I'm not going to be like, oh man, someone's going to dislike it. No, can't release it. Just going to sit here and just keep saying things and keep parroting the popular opinion, because that's all right. That's not what I'm here to do. It's not what I do. It's not what I'm about. That's not my shtick. That's not my idea. It's not my idea of a good time. And once again, that is not all right. That is not orange juice out of a champagne glass. Some people didn't get the reference, so I just explained it to you. So, with that said, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3, I'm sure, is going to be a game that is actually going to be decent. The reason why I say that is, I've played the first two. Ever since this whole melting pot of an issue came up, I actually went back, hooked up an Xbox, played the game, and you know what? It's a decent volleyball game. Granted, volleyball is not really a game that has an abundance of sports games tied to it, but at the end of the day, it was a good game. You could play volleyball, you could have fun, you could be competitive. Its mini games, yeah, sure, may just be teasing the quote-unquote male stigma, but as I know it, there's this thing called, what is it? Lesbians. They do exist, and they do like scantily clad women. They do like voluptuous bodies and appreciate the female form. And they do like it when two female forms get a little rowdy. But it's clearly the men. Sorry. I mean, the men is the biggest demographic that sells this game, but I'm just letting you know that they're not the only people who like to see. You know, we're not going there. I've made my point there. So, with that said, is there anything that I missed on this issue? Was there anything that I should, quote-unquote, shed the light on? Is there anything I left in the dark? Because I'm genuinely curious to know what you guys think of this issue. Because personally, I think the game should come out. It's a fine game. It's alright. It's whatever. You play it, whoop-de-rah-rah-ree. No one should really care. But the fact that they're going to say they're not going to bring it to the West because the big bad SJWs are going to say something is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous notion. That is dumb. I don't think they should get a free pass for that. Even though some people are going to give them a free pass because, oh man, the SJWs, we now have something to blame them for. You shouldn't be blaming them. They have what I would believe to be a misguided opinion, but hey, look, that's their opinion. I'm not going to sit here and try to change it. I mean, if they want to hash things out in the debate, we can talk about it. I'm not here to change opinions. I'm just here to shed light. I think both sides have done a very bad job of handling this situation. So with that said, I'm your host, Dr. Rectango, and I am alright.